Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to use a row filter and a table row sorter to add some functionality to tables in a Java Swing application. So the application I'm going to use as an example is this one. It's a really simple book club app. You've got a list of books and they've all been given scores by people in the book club, and you can add in new books. So if I create a book here, enter a title, you can enter a score, click add book, it gets added to the table. Now there's a search function up here. It doesn't do anything yet, so that's what I'm going to look at adding in today. And also we're going to have a look at adding sort functions to the different columns of the table. So at the moment there is no sorting in the table. The items are shown in the order that they are provided by the table model. So I've created a table model here, which is probably similar to the table model that you have and which I've shown in some of the videos I've made before. And this model creates some example books just so that there's something in the table when we start the program. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at adding a table row sorter. So a table row sorter allows you to sort columns, and you can choose which columns to sort and in which direction by clicking on the top column at the top of the table. So at the moment, if I click on the column headings, nothing happens, but it's really easy to add in that functionality. So what I'll do is create a table row sorter. Now, when you create the table row sorter, you need to provide your table model. So create the table model first, and then create the table row sorter and pass your table model inside the brackets. Now, the next step is, after setting your model, you need to set the row sorter. So set row sorter, table row sorter. Now, if I run the program again, this function has already been added for me, right? So I can click on the column heading, and you can see a little arrow appears. I can sort the book titles alphabetically. I could also sort in order of score if I want to. So that's very convenient. Okay, now the next step is, let's say that I want to implement a search function. So I want to be able to filter this table so that only the rows which match, or only the rows with titles that match what I've typed into the search box should be displayed. So this is a little bit more complicated, but not very much more complicated. If I double click on the search button, that's going to add an action listener to that button. Now, in order to filter out rows, I just add a row filter to my table row sorter. So here's my table row sorter, which I created earlier. And then I can use the set row filter method to create a new row filter. Now the row filter that you provide, there are some built-in row filters, but I think it's better just to write your own because it's not very complicated, and it gives you a little bit more flexibility. I could write a row filter in here, or I could create a new row filter as a new class over here. I'm going to create it as a class to make it a little bit neater. So let's call it my row filter. And of course, this is going to extend row filter. Okay, now there's one method that you have to implement when you extend, and it's called include, and it receives an entry. Now, each entry corresponds to a row of the table, and you're going to return true or false depending on whether you want that row to be displayed. So the first thing you probably want to do is to get a particular column from the entry. Now, in this case, I want to get column 0 because that's what had the book title in. So I write entry dot get. Now, I can use get value to get the value, or quite often you want get string value, which will get the text of that value. That's obviously more convenient if I just want to compare it against a text search box. And then I enter the column number, so that's going to be 0. Dot. Now, since I'm going to be searching for particular text, I'm going to use the index of command. So the index of method, it will search in the text to see if another piece of text appears inside it. And if it does, it will return a number which is greater than or equal to 0 to indicate the location of the text. Now this search text is something that I'm going to provide in the constructor. Oh, can't type today. Okay, there we go. So when I create a row filter, I'm going to provide some search text, and then I'm going to save that search text inside the object, and then the row filter will sometimes get asked whether a particular row needs to be displayed or not, and to answer that question, it's going to get the 0th column of that row, and then it's going to see if the search text appears inside that row. If it does appear somewhere, then the index of method will return a number which is greater than or equal to 0, and I return whether that is true or not to indicate whether the row needs to be displayed. So now all I need to do is go back to my app and create new my row filter with the text I want to search for. Now that text that I want to search for is going to come from the search box. So I called that search field.getText. So here I read out the text from the field that I'm entering the search text into. Then I create a row filter which will search for that text, and I set that as the filter for my table row sorter. So let's just run it and check that this works. So for example, if I'm searching for the word design, and then type search, and then it brings up just that entry. If I'm searching for, let's try searching for something that's going to bring up more than one result. So, for example, I've got design beginning with capital DE and definitive there beginning with capital DE. So if I search for capital DE, then it brings up those two entries. Now, if I search for 5, for example, it's not searching the score column, so it doesn't bring up items with a score of 5. If I wanted to do that, then I would need to compare column 1 as well as column 0, right? So at the moment, I'm only looking at column 0 and then searching for that string. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, this is a really easy thing to do to add functionality into your table.